Hey everybody, this is Jonathan Latt, and you are listening to another episode of the Perilous Podcast. And joining me as always in the Bunker of Doom, it's the co-host, it's Angie Carrier.
Hey.
Hey, what's going on?
Just working on that intro.
Working on that intro? Yeah, I was going to do a list. I'm going to drop some index cards, and we'll do it where you're not allowed to look at them, and you'll just read your possible...
Yeah.
I think you'll like some of them.
Yeah, sure.
And then the other goal is just to make you say really offensive stuff
Yeah.
without thinking about it. But we're working on getting Angie a catchphrase. So some of them are I was working on was I'd go, this is Jonathan Latt. Welcome to another episode. Joining me as always is the co-host, it's Andy Carrier. And your first words out of your mouth would be, Hitler was right. So no. Trump 2020.
Oh, God.
And you are listening to the George Street Shuffle by Kevin MacLeod. Get all your royalty-free music at Incompetech.com. And what are we doing next, Angie?
We are doing aliens.
Smooth transition.
Oh, well, yeah. That's
All right, we got it. This is why you come to rehearsal.
Uh-huh.
But we are going to talk about aliens today. I want to...
The aliens, they mess with my mind and made me forget the smooth transition.
But probes will do that.
Yeah.
It's no good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Angie and I are back. Angie was away last week. Did you see we had a special co-host last week with Barbara Dillon? Who did you watch the video promo?
A little bit of it. It was like I've had
Well, Barbara has one weakness. For whatever reason, and it just destroys her. For whatever reason, that word just destroys her.
Do you ever just send her the emoji?
It's literally hearing the word.
That's funny.
Yeah, it just breaks her brain. And so you can go check it out. We're talking about the Loch Ness Monster on that one, but I was thinking, as we were recording the podcast, I'm like, how can I work poop into the conversation? And then I thought, like halfway through the podcast, I was like, oh, no. I'll wait until the promo.
Yeah.
And just break her.
Yeah.
In the promo. And it was so good. But she's very sweet, and her husband, Bryant, are awesome. I'm having dinner with them on Wednesday.
Oh, nice.
But, today we are going to talk about, in general, aliens. Are they coming here? If they are coming here, what can we assume about them? And, what can we assume, and why would we not know? And you know what I mean? Because people have a whole bunch of theories in terms of why would they contact governments and not just, if you're that powerful, just make yourself known to the people.
Yeah.
And I think there are valid reasons for that. But real quick, so how are you doing otherwise?
Oh, busy.
Yeah, no, you are. You have a real job.
Oh, I do. I do a lot of work outside of work also, so it's been... all I do is work. But,
It's the man keeping you down.
Yeah.
How's Silent Colin?
He's good.
Good, tell him.
He's also busy.
Tell him I say.
Move.
Yeah. Tell him I say.
Yeah, I will.
And of course, we had some wonderful, I am on a quest. I think I told you to get blocked by the President of the United States of America on Twitter. I don't know what I got to do. I'm trying. I would, and again, it's not so I can sue him, or it's just something I can hang my hat on and go, I've really accomplished something in 2017. I
think he really hates it if you talk about his hands.
I end every tweet with hashtag tiny hands. I don't know what I have to do. Now I'm ending it with hashtag tiny hands, hashtag sad, hashtag worst president ever. And now I'm just being petty. Like yesterday, he mentioned something about the NFL again, because
we all must stand for our anthem and our flag.
It was so funny, and I love my mother, but I was on the phone with her this morning.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you're watching this, actually this will air next week, so we're actually not so far off, because Angie and I record a bunch of these at once, because Angie's an adult and can't come over and play with me every day.
Yeah.
But I called my mom to say thank you for dinner last night, because a bunch of us went to her house for dinner. And I asked her, what are you doing today? And her boyfriend's a big football guy. So she's like, well, we're going to watch football. And then she just literally, it's Fox talking points about the NFL and everything like that. And I actually said, easy there, Fox News. And I had to defend their right to kneel, you know, I mean, and it doesn't affect everything. And she's like, well, no. And I'm talking about President Trump and why it's so damaging. And she literally said to me, she said, nobody pays attention to what he does anyway. And I said, you literally just quoted everything he said in the last, 48 hours.
Yeah.
And my computer's doing weird stuff. But it's just very frustrating, and it's dangerous, and he's dangerous.
It is. And
I think I tweeted out yesterday, he said he was going down to Puerto Rico to check on the progress.
On Tuesday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think my tweet was just, haven't those poor people suffered enough?
Yeah.
And then I did one I thought would really work, which was, he had mentioned something about patriotism and all this shit. And I think it's, if your patriotism is so fragile that people kneeling during the national anthem destroys your faith in the flag, and you think that's not patriotism, that's fascism, and that's cowardice.
And he doesn't give a shit about those countries.
No, absolutely not
at all. And but people, God, I had to stop looking yesterday because after all the tweets about the San Juan mayor, because a woman defied him. He really fucking hates that.
Well, he said the Democrats made her do it. You pussy.
Yeah, but I couldn't read anymore because some of the comments, these people, some of the top people under his tweets are fucking crazy.
But a lot of them are actually bots.
Oh yeah, I know. They're the verified people. There's this.
But
one
some of those, right?
Crazy.
But there's a few of them that are verified that are bots. And the thing I like about the bots is because the bots now even post memes.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes the bot doesn't realize it's actually posting an anti-Trump meme, which is really funny to me. Because you know what I mean? It's very funny. But I posted yesterday, the other one I posted was, I can only hope that the man your wife is having an affair with and loves more than you is a better man than you are. #TinyHands. And not even that worked. I don't know what to do. It feels like I'm wasting my life. I don't understand it. So anyway, look, if you are listening to this and you voted for President Trump, that is your right as an American, and I will defend your right until my last dying breath, and you are absolutely valid in your choice to vote for him. But you need to open your eyes. Mm-hmm. And if you think the president is infallible, and if you are unwilling to question his decisions or the way he's leading the country, you're not an American.
No.
You're a North Korean, or you're a 1938 German. It's just, look, I'm the first to admit I am liberal, but when President Obama did stupid shit and shit that pissed me off, I spoke out against it. If you are unwilling to admit that this man you voted for, I'm not saying everything he does is terrible. I'm saying everything he does is terrible. Yeah. But again, I'm open to being, wrong about certain things. When you look at his track record, he has no track record. We're going to repeal and replace in the first 30 days, and then he comes out and goes, nobody knew how complicated healthcare was. Yeah, we did. That's why it's so hard to do. I will say this, and then he came out this morning. I was talking with my sister. I didn't read the Twitter feed yet, but he came out and he shit all over Rex Tillerson for trying to have détente with North Korea. And I will say this, the only cabinet appointment I felt good about was Mad Dog Mattis. Because even though he has a nickname like Mad Dog, he has the reputation of being a very level-headed, introspective, thoughtful man. Mm-hmm. And even though I think Rex Tillerson is a corrupt oil douche, I really expected him to just only concentrate on getting those oil deals for Russia and not really care about anything else. I really get the feeling he got in there into the State Department and started looking at all this stuff and going, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I really need to do this job or we're all going to die.
Yeah.
And I actually am very impressed with how sincerely, I still think he's a corrupt son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But I think everybody in the government's corrupt.
Yeah.
And I will always take corruption. That's going to happen as long as you're competent.
Yeah.
That was, again, I didn't look. Barack Obama's not a saint. He was far less corrupt than a lot of other politicians. The Clintons are corrupt.
Yeah.
But the Clintons are competent. My problem with George W. Bush wasn't that he was corrupt. It's that he was an idiot.
Yeah.
If he was brilliant at his job, I would have been fine with that. So my problem mainly with Donald Trump is that he's corrupt and he's a moron. And he's a petulant child.
Yeah.
But I think Rex Tillerson, who is, I believe, very corrupt, is sincerely looking around going, oh, okay.
Well, most of these people are so egotistical, they don't want to die either.
Right.
It seems like Trump doesn't care if he does, but maybe he knows that he's got a bunker somewhere.
I just don't think Trump understands. I don't think he is intellectually capable. And you know...
TV, like his life's a movie or a TV show, that's what he thinks.
I think, you know, but I also think, you know, and it's so funny when you hear from Trump supporters about, well, why don't we make this episode about Trump? Because we're already 11 minutes in, and then we'll do aliens. Sorry, everybody. We'll do aliens next week. Angie and I got a lot to say. And I haven't seen you in a few weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think, you know, when people go, well, you know, he's brilliant. He went to the Wharton School of Business. First of all, he transferred into the Wharton School of Business. And it is fairly well known that he was accepted to Wharton because his dad made a massive contribution.
I mean, any rich kid, that's usually all they get in anywhere.
Well, come on, that's unfair.
Yeah.
That's because that's unfair to every rich kid who's smart, who actually had the grades. Being rich doesn't mean you're stupid.
People like Trump.
Well, but people like Trump you mean stupid people with money.
Bush.
Well, but that's what I was going to say. It was like George W. Bush got into Yale. There's a reason he got into Yale, and it had nothing to do with his intellect. It had everything to do with his dad. But his dad went to Yale because of Prescott Bush.
Yeah.
Yes and no. But George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush's father, as evil as he was, is a brilliant man. He had the grades. He deserved to go to Yale. George W. Bush did not. I will say this, though. I never doubted George W. Bush's sincerity.
Yeah.
I just think he was not he is not the smartest man.
Yeah.
But I think he's a good man that I just disagreed with. And George W. Bush, President Bush, since he's gotten out of office, I don't know if you remember, like maybe about 6-7 months ago, he went on this sort of press tour because he had this art book. And all the proceeds go to military charities and stuff like that. He's adorable.
Yeah.
Like I would cuddle with ex-president George W. Bush. If you want to fall in love with George W. Bush, go watch his interview with Jimmy Kimmel from last year.
Yeah.
He's adorable.
Yeah.
But he's also, I think, a man of integrity in the sense that, you know, when he left the White House, he could have done what a lot of people do, which is just, you know, a lot of people in his cabinet did, which is just shit all over Barack Obama for no reason whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And he said, I am not going to shit all over this man. I'm going to go away.
Yeah.
That's not easy to do. It takes a certain kind of person to be able to go, you know what? It is not an easy job.
Yeah.
But I will say this, I do think George W. Bush and Donald Trump ran partially for the same reasons, which was George Bush mainly, Donald Trump partially, to make their daddy proud.
Yeah.
The problem is, you know, with George W. Bush, that's where it really ended, was I'm going to make daddy proud. You know, I'm better than Jeb.
Yeah.
And he turned out to be better than Jeb. And so when he first got into office, he really wasn't running things. It was Rumsfeld and Cheney. And that's why there was such a dramatic sea change, like maybe that last year of his first administration all through his second, because he went, no, fuck you, I'm the president of the United States of America, I'm running the show now. Donald Trump, partially to make his dead daddy proud, but that's partially due to all his insecurities and his, you know, that deep down knowing he is not smart. He is not a bright businessman. He's P.T. Barnum. And so it's this terrible combination of low self-esteem and narcissism, which will get you in trouble every time.
Well, he is. I mean, that's why he's also like a white supremacist. Like, I mean, well, allegedly, but like,
No,
I
he
mean,
is.
yeah, he is.
No,
because that's all he's got going for him. He thinks that whites have superior genes, especially white males.
Yeah.
So that he's not smart in any other way, but he's like, but I'm white, so I'm obviously better than everybody.
Well,
like,
but also the funny thing is he doesn't even understand. He's not even smart enough to understand white supremacy.
Yeah.
He doesn't get it because your daughter's married to a G.
Right. Well.
And
but they're white.
But they're white, and I always tell Jewish people this. I always go, you just think you're white.
Yeah.
You're not. You're Jewish.
Yeah.
You know. Oh fuck.
Huh.
This froze.
Oh no.
Let's see what happens here. It'll probably start back up in a second. It might even still be recording.
Oh. Let's hope for the best.
Yeah, my fucking $300 laptop never froze like this fucking thing freezes. But all right, here we go. It's still going. So hang on. I'm just gonna pause this for 1 second, everybody. What is going on here? Windows Defender, no threats. Yeah, okay, thanks.
No Russians attacking your computer.
All right, here we go. So sorry, everybody. I was checking stuff because this really expensive computer seems to run worse than my $300 Asus. I shouldn't say that. It runs very well.
Well, you don't want to talk bad about it in front of it. Cause
Yes.
it might shut down.
I'm sorry, baby. You're so good. You're so good.
Well, so I was listening to a podcast that had been reported just before the election. It wasn't about Trump or anything. It was like a comedy podcast that they were mentioning because one of the podcast hosts used to work on Ellen, and Ellen did a bit in like 2005, 2006 while like at his office because it was when The Apprentice was heyday, and he was gonna fire Ellen or whatever. So they all I guess Ellen had never met Trump, or at least had not recently been like around him. So they got to his office, his like legit office, not the one for the TV show, and she said it was the most gaudy. It was like a coke dealer had decided what he thought was like rich looking. It was like black lacquer and gold everywhere. And then so she's like it was hideous, but he was we came up and he was introduced to Ellen, and he didn't say hello. He didn't say. The first thing he said was, "We're number one in the ratings. We got the biggest ratings at The Apprentice." She said he just started spewing off all these ratings numbers.
Because that's a man who hates himself.
He's exactly the same now. It's
And that will be his downfall.
Yeah.
And let's get into some conspiracy.
Yeah.
He's got this problem where he plays to his ever dwindling base. Mm-hmm. And he thinks Twitter, if you do, there are these programs where you can check a person's followers.
Yeah.
And literally it's right down the middle. He's got 35 million followers, but 50% are bots.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if he bought them.
He bought the bots.
He bought the bots. Or if it's Russian propaganda or whatever. But, he thinks he has this platform. And the main problem is if the mainstream media, and when I say mainstream media, I mean all the media, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, the broadcast networks, if they ignored his Twitter feed for just 1 week, if they did not report, if they all sat down and said, okay, for 1 week, we will not report on any of his tweets, his brain would melt.
Yeah.
He is this hollow thing inside where it's sort of this psychological thing where he's one of those people where what he says is what he feels about himself. Mm-hmm. So when he talks about someone being a loser or someone being dumb or low energy or ugly or whatever, it is a psychological phenomenon where certain people, that's what they do. And so this whole, the whole NFL thing started as a fluke where he was doing one of his Nuremberg rallies somewhere. Mm-hmm. And he said, can you believe, son of a bitch, you're fired.
Yeah.
And everybody went, you're fired. And everybody applauded. And so he said it again. And he went, okay. Then he took his tiny little thumbs and he got on his phone and he started tweeting about, and it started trending or whatever. And it's to fill that void. And, Robert Mueller, who looks like Sam the Eagle from the Muppets. He does.
This is a tribute to all nations, especially America.
Especially America. Robert Mueller, it's, when you look at a guy like Robert Mueller, who just does not fuck around and looks like a guy who has never laughed in his life. I don't even think he's maybe even had gas. He just... Versus a guy like Donald Trump, where, Trump let us know exactly who the stronger person was very early on in this investigation when he was appointed, because he tried to threaten Mueller with being fired.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you think Mueller would care?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, you fired the head of the FBI because they were investigating you. You say it on camera. Like, literally, his interview on camera is part of Mueller's case.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand. It's fucking crazy. So the minute he thought threatening Mueller with being fired would work, we all should have realized, okay, this guy's in trouble.
Yeah.
Because you just fired the head of the FBI. So had you not fired the head of the FBI, they never would have appointed special counsel. And when even Republicans are going, okay, and the Republicans didn't get on board for special counsel because it's the right thing to do. It's because they want to get reelected.
Yeah.
They're all terrible. But, we look at this team of prosecutors Mueller has put together. We look at all the indictments and warrants that are coming down. Paul Manafort alone is, with all the evidence on him, is more than enough to prove collusion. Now, does any of this touch Trump? I don't know if it does.
I feel like if they were smart enough to orchestrate all of this, they were probably smart enough to keep him at some level away from it. But I don't know.
What I'm saying is, I don't know, I personally believe that Vladimir Putin, who is not a dumb man, does have video of Donald Trump doing terrible things.
I don't know that at all. Where is it, though?
Well, but that's the thing. You never use it unless you have to. And I don't think he's had to.
Yeah.
Because he has found it so easy to manipulate Trump. Trump thinks he's innocent because he is so dumb and so easily manipulated that Vladimir hasn't never had to use the tape. What Vladimir was able to do was get the Russian hackers mobilized and work with Trump's support team, so that Trump didn't even know he was being manipulated. But the problem is, where Trump's support team, when I say support team, I mean, Michael Flynn, Paul Manafort, Carter Page, those guys, where they made the mistake in what will end up being the ruination of Donald Trump was those three guys and the people of them, the other guy, the old supervillain looking guy.
Mnuchin?
No, not Mnuchin. He's just a cabinet member. He's just a scumbag.
Yeah. They all look evil.
Yeah, but he wasn't involved in the election.
Yeah.
But the guy who helped get the WikiLeaks stuff out there, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But what their mistake was involving Trump's family.
Yeah.
You needed Donald Trump Jr., who wanted to be involved, and Jared Kushner, who had both Donald Trump Jr. and Jared Kushner, long before the election, had a lot of dealings with Russian oligarchs. Jared Kushner is not smart. He's really not. He's not an idiot.
Yeah.
But he's not a genius.
Yeah.
And he's made, he's a lot like, one of the reasons Donald Trump likes Jared Kushner so much is because Jared Kushner reminds him of him.
Yeah.
Plus, Jared Kushner is doing the one thing Donald Trump wishes he could do.
Dana's daughter.
Is fuck Ivanka.
Yeah.
And I still believe those two had sex.
Yeah.
I know it's creepy. I know it's and I think one of the tapes Putin has is of Ivanka and Donald Trump engaging in sex. But psychologically, I think I think I've told you about my theory, and I think it's very sound psychologically. But Jared Kushner reminds him of him because he is this sort of empty vessel that inherited his wealth from his family and is constantly on the verge of completely fucking it up.
Yeah.
He's made some very stupid decisions.
I think his family hates him. Now, Kushner, or at least his brother, I feel like is
it's highly possible.
I don't want anything to do with it because I think his brother is a pretty big involved in the Democratic scene and stuff like that.
Well, but also, Jared Kushner is screwing around with the family fortune, man.
Yeah.
But again, his family was corrupt.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Everybody wonders why Chris Christie got so screwed. It's because Chris Christie put Jared Kushner's father away when he was the Attorney General of New Jersey. He did. And, you really think you're going to get a cabinet post? The president's son-in-law is the son-in-law is the son of the man you helped prosecute and put away for fraud. But where these guys screwed up was getting Trump's children involved, because you need Trump's children involved because he listens to them.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to pour honey in Trump's ear, it's one thing for Paul Manafort or Carter Page or Mike Flynn to say it. It's another when it's Don Jr., who Trump actually likes, as opposed to Lurch, who's the other one?
Eric.
Yeah, Eric, who Trump doesn't like because he's uglier, than Donald Jr. He doesn't want to look at him. And he's probably a little dumber. Not that Donald Trump Jr. is a genius.
Yeah.
So you have Donald Trump Jr. and you have Jared Kushner. And Jared Kushner, who also had done business with Russian oligarchs, probably laundering their money, and did really smart stuff like that was the chair, asking to set up these back channels to speak directly with Russians on Russian-owned property.
They all treat him like he's just a kid. He used an email server that was private, like Hillary's. But it was just a rookie mistake. No, fuck no. He's not a kid. He's in his fucking 30s. Well,
and also, you're not allowed to have rookie mistakes.
No.
This is the presidency.
But, it's okay. It's not okay when a woman does it who's been in politics for a long time.
That's not why.
But, yes, it is.
No. It's because she was a Democrat. It had nothing to do with...
Well, but she's a female Democrat.
I understand where you're coming from. It wouldn't have mattered if the Secretary of State... It wouldn't have mattered if John Kerry was running for president. If he had used a private email server, Trump would have used that against him. It had nothing to do with her being a woman.
Okay.
A lot of stuff in the election had to do with her being a woman. That didn't. That was just... meat. That was, you know what I mean? It wouldn't have mattered who did it. They saw that as meat to show she was corrupt. He did a lot of other stuff that was directly targeted her because she was a woman, and it was despicable. But that was a gift from God. That was a meaningless gift because everybody does it. Colin Powell did it. Everybody does it. But you got to look at the timing too. Jared Kushner and Donnie Jr. had the meeting with the Russian lady about adoption, which they now, of course, admit was about dirt. And it was about 24 hours after that meeting when Donald Trump first brought up the missing emails. And I wish somebody would hack her. And he had the exact number.
Yeah.
33,000 emails. The first time you hear 33,000 emails is from Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's weird. No, that's very, very weird. And I think it's because Don Jr. whispered in his ear, she's talking about there's like 33,000 emails, you know, da 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 da. And then 2 weeks later, these emails appear.
Yeah.
To me, again, that's not hard evidence, but it's very circumstantial.
Yeah.
And there was, I apologize, I can't remember exactly when it happened, but it was during the election where he was on stage at one of his Hitler Youth rallies, and he was talking about this news story about Hillary being corrupt. And I think it was Keith Olbermann, and you may like or hate Keith Olbermann, but he is a good reporter. I personally like Keith Olbermann. He's doing some really good stuff on YouTube. I don't know if you watch The Resistance. He's very good. I like him, but he's a very good reporter. He's a fucking self-destructive maniac, but he's a very good reporter. And what he found out was the only place this story was mentioned that Trump was quoting from was in a Russian newspaper, and not a Russian American newspaper, a newspaper in Russia in Russian, and it's the only place it appeared. And Trump's talking about this story. There's no way he got that information without someone whispering in his.
He can read Russian, obviously.
Obviously. He's like a smart person.
Yeah.
So the thing with getting his kids involved, that's where you may have power over Trump. It's, you've got dirt on Don Jr. I mean, Don Jr. has admitted to collusion. You've got dirt on Jared Kushner. You have Don Jr. and Lurch, what's his name, Eric, you know, talking to a guy from Golf Digest years ago about how they get all their money from Russian oligarchs. And the reason they did that wasn't because it was the smart thing to do. It was the only people that would give them money. The banks wouldn't lend to Donald Trump because he failed so many times.
Yeah.
If you go broke running a casino, you are a terrible businessman.
Yeah.
And so they might be able to approach Donald Trump and go, look, here's the thing. You can resign and maybe have a nice career, keep your name intact, your family name, which you're so proud of. Or you can watch us prosecute your son and your son-in-law because we have them dead to rights, and I guarantee you they do. You know, guys like Paul Manafort and Carter Page and Mike Flynn, they will have no qualms flipping on Don Jr. and Jared Kushner. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And that's where I think they might have power over him, because I think he is so easily manipulated and such a fucking dupe that no one's had to blackmail him.
No.
You know, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I agree. I don't know. I still don't think anything's ever going to happen to him. It's all wishful thinking.
Well,
I think he's going to be up for re-election in 2020. I think he's probably still going to get it because people still love him.
But it's an ever dwindling number.
But
it really is.
I don't think so. I haven't. All of the people that I know who love him still love him, and that's anecdotal. But it's bad, and they just, the thing is that they have still like all these fake news shit, like that they get all this stuff that says like, I see them posting all these things that Donald Trump has allegedly done that are completely not true.
Yeah.
Like of how great a person he is. Like one guy, like a friend of a friend, was like posting about how he was helping, like before he ever became president, with like hurricane relief, like and all this. Like no, that is like completely wholly false. Like, but they all have this circular thing where they just like circle jerk each other about like, what it's in their dream life of what Trump is, and then that's how they see him, and that it's not based on reality whatsoever.
No, and I don't disagree that there are those hardcore people that are so invested that, you know, like we talked about in the beginning of the podcast, if you know, they just refuse to admit that he is what he is. But it is an ever, it's it doesn't happen fast, but it's an ever dwindling number. And the only, again, I stand by what I said last year after the election, which is not every person who voted for Donald Trump is a racist, but every racist voted for Donald Trump. So the only people he will be left with are the white supremacists and the militia people. But also, I do think he won't be around. I do. I know it, because here's the thing, it is simply because of two things. Going after his children, or the children he likes. Mm-hmm. Because remember, if it was just Jared Kushner, I doubt he'd give a fuck.
Yeah.
But he won't want to protect Jared Kushner. He will want to protect Ivanka, his one true love.
Yeah.
And he will want to protect Donald Jr. and he will want to protect his name. He thinks his name, it's very important to him. Mm-hmm. And so if they go to him and they go, look, you resign right now. You can pick the reason. We will bury this.
Yeah.
And when I say bury it, they will bury it, but eventually it'll start to leak out.
Yeah.
Because his core followers, like you were saying, the diehard people, they do have the potential to be incredibly violent. Mm-hmm. And he will foment them to, if they come after him to prosecute him, he'll be the first one on Twitter to go, get your guns, take to the streets. They're trying to, which again would be a mistake because then, he can be prosecuted for, inciting riots and whatever. But again, this is a guy who is talking about how he can pardon himself, which you can't do. But to go to him and go, look, you step down. We will make this as painless as possible. Mm-hmm. We will, make this very quiet. We'll give your kids immunity if they testify against the other people and against, the Russians. And so we can air that part out.
Yeah.
But we will not come after you. Or you stay, you fight, you use Twitter. We're coming after your family. Your kids are fucking guilty. Mm-hmm. Guilty. They're gonna go to prison. We're gonna try them for treason. What do you think your name's gonna be worth then? That's where they have a chance because his ego, it's not about doing the right thing. It's about protecting his family name. And they've got the evidence already. Mueller's got the evidence.
I still don't think anything's gonna happen. It's just.
I can't believe I'm more hopeful than you are.
No, it's like nothing matters. Like nothing matters. He's like attacking the mayor of San Juan, who's
Democrats told her to be mean to him.
Such bullshit.
I know.
She's begging for help. People are dying.
Well, and let's talk about that for a second. Then we'll wrap everything up. But again, this is the man we're dealing with. Where there's this 1920 law or something like that, where ships that don't fly the U.S. flag, ships from foreign nations can't dock in Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. And they didn't lift it during a humanitarian crisis. The USS Comfort, which, by the way, if you're a nerd like I am, Google USS Comfort. It's a hospital ship. It's a naval hospital ship, and it's amazing. Have you seen this thing?
I probably maybe have.
It is crazy. It's like the size of two or three hospitals on a ship. Its only purpose is to give aid in war-torn areas and areas devastated by man-made disasters or natural disasters. It is literally manned by naval medical staff and corpsmen and women. It's not their job to fight. It's their job it is what they train for. Yeah. And it sat off the coast of Virginia for a week and a half. And and they asked, please send us. And he refused to let them go and finally sent them, I think, 36 hours ago to Puerto Rico. It's disgusting.
I had some more kind thoughts for people who are Trump supporters. Like if they had a reason, honestly, I think blood is all on their hands for this shit. I don't disagree. I can't forgive. Like he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like who is a child, and people are dying because he refuses. Any other president, Democrat or Republican, would have fucking sent aid. And
Absolutely.
he won't because he's a child. Blood's on their hands. I don't forgive anybody.
Well, and I'm not saying you have to forgive them.
No, I don't. But I think that's their fault. They enabled this shit because they're too blind to see that this was going to happen.
Well, and look, I will say we helped. In the sense that, and when I say we, I mean the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Although I'm a registered independent. But the independent candidate never wins.
Yeah.
But you know, the Democratic Party, the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, did collude with the Clinton campaign to fuck Bernie Sanders over. And you can make an argument that he was losing anyway and wouldn't have won the primary, but they kept changing the rules on him, and they kept, you know, suppressing information and fudging numbers. And so, and maybe I'm wrong, but I believe if Bernie had run against Trump, he would have won. And so but the DNC, and I don't have anything against Hillary Clinton. I think she's brilliant. I think she was a good Secretary of State. I think Benghazi is bullshit. It's tragic, but come on. You know, but the DNC helped create this situation.
Yeah, that's fair, but I still think that you should have been able to see, not you, but you should have been able to see that this was a bad choice.
Well, I understand that.
Because you were mad at...
Right, but again, you know, Americans are low information voters. Yeah. You know, you and I live in you and I live in one of the small, you know, I think maybe calling Los Angeles an intellectual hub might be too nice. I love my hometown, but you know, we're high information people in a low information country. And again, he knew, you know, remember, he didn't have a track record. It's very easy to run and say how amazing you are when you don't have a track record. And he was very clever. You know, these are for the most part uneducated people who like a clever catchphrase, you know, low energy Jeb, tiny, you know, little Marco or whatever. Rocket Man. But you know, but we have to look. I'm not saying they're not responsible. The Trump voter, but you know, in the end, though, you know, my one thing would be this: if you are listening to this and you're a liberal, and if you're listening to this and you're a conservative, keep talking to each other. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people on the left who aren't talking to their former friends on the right anymore. That's stupid. Okay, so they voted for Trump, so they spout stupid stuff. One of the problems we have in this country is nobody talks to each other anymore. Yeah. We need to be open to debating each other. And you know, we need to have civil discussions about things we disagree with. But I don't disagree with you that the blood is on their hands, but it's mainly on his. I mean, you know, the buck stops here. There. But it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful, and he's a disgraceful person, and he has lowered the stock of our country.
It's embarrassing.
And the really impressive thing is he's been able to do it faster than George W. Bush did it.
Yeah.
When Bush was president, I was doing a lot of traveling around the world, and it was tough being an American in foreign countries when George W. Bush was president. It's got to be far worse now. But anyway, so okay, we're at 43 minutes. Yeah. But you do not believe anything's going to happen. I believe that
we gotta wait all the way till 2020, and even then it's...
Well, here's the thing about 2020, though.
I think elections could have the potential to not ever matter anymore if we keep letting this shit go on.
But remember, there's going to be one big difference between the 2020 campaign and this past campaign. Is a track record. No one in the other debates could talk about what Trump had done wrong.
Yeah. All
they could talk about was what they had done right.
Yeah.
It was hard to attack him. You could attack him for being a vulgarian, a misogynist, an asshole. but you didn't have anything.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't have anything. But now, for the 2020 election, which I don't think he'll get to, you will have, you know, we're not even done with the first fucking year of his presidency, and look at if I am his opponent, there's so much to run on in terms of holding him accountable for the things he did, and more importantly, the things he did not do.
But it doesn't matter because he'll just lie about it because he says
But
that
but he won't be able to lie about it on a debate. You're going to have moderators. You're going to have it is a different world. It will be a different situation. I'm not saying he wouldn't have a chance of winning, but he wouldn't have a chance of winning. I know he hurt you. You're very angry. So, but my basic feeling is Robert Mueller already has all the evidence he needs on Trump's support staff and especially his children, and that's how they'll get him out of office. Is go, hey, genius, step down or we're coming at you hard.
Yeah. Don't
fuck with me. I'm Sam the Eagle. And then Trump will have to decide, you know, do I let them come and destroy my family and hope that I can tell everybody it's because of the Democrats? You know, the thing that will happen is, as terrible as Fox News is, and they're terrible.
Yeah.
When it comes to actual reporting, when they put all their bullshit aside and just report on stuff, they're actually very good. Mm-hmm. And even and with stuff like this, they won't spin it. Mm-hmm. They will sort of present the proof that, you know, because in the end, Fox News is not about the Republican president. Fox News is about the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. So if the Republican president is being prosecuted or it starts to look bad in terms of colluding with a foreign government, Mitch McConnell and his ilk are going to separate themselves very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And in order to help get the Congress and the Senate reelected, they will throw Trump under the bus, protect the congressmen and the senators, and report on what is actually happening. Mm-hmm. And that could really help, you know. And I think even Breitbart, if he's not himself implicated, which he probably is, will throw Trump under the bus too. You know. Anyway, so listen, everybody, we got a little off topic, but there's been so much going on.
Yeah.
It's just terrible. But look, again, this is America. You vote for who you want to vote for, but you need to take responsibility for that vote.
Yeah.
You know, I always tell people, like, I have a lot of friends who complain about everything, but they don't vote. And I always tell them, shut the fuck up. You are not allowed to complain.
No.
If you don't vote, you're not allowed to complain. If you do vote, you're allowed to complain, but you also have to take responsibility.
Yeah.
So my feeling is there is a conspiracy. Mueller has the evidence, and he's going to go after Trump through his children because he's got evidence on them. And that's how they'll get him out of office. Angie believes there is a conspiracy, that Mueller does have the evidence, and nothing's going to happen. Yes. Because Angie's dead inside, because Trump killed her.
Yeah.
That's too bad. All right. This is the George Street Shuffle by Kevin MacLeod. Get all your royalty-free music on Incompetech.com. Go to my website, jonathanlatt.com. Check out all my useless links. Let me know what a libtard I am. That's fine. I don't care. And follow me on social media. Don't cost nothing. Pick up my pulp novel, The Geek, available on Amazon and iTunes. And if you're in Los Angeles, go to Skylight Books and pick up a copy, because why not? And go to Angie's website, angiecarrier.com, if you need a UX designer, although she has a very good job now.
Yeah,
and is not looking for work. So leave her alone.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you later.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.